It's Thursday night, it's 8:45pm, and for the final time this week, it's the Whiskers podcast live. Hello and welcome to our third live podcast of the week. As you know, 3 live Cats Whiskers podcasts every week throughout the season. And on this show, we're going to be looking ahead to the 2 weekend games. Panthers taking on the Cardiff Devils at the NIC on Saturday, and the Sheffield Steelers at the Sheffield Arena in the Challenge Cup on Sunday. We've also got some help to look ahead to those. Sean Phillips from the Red Army Roundup podcast will be talking to us a little later, and no stranger to anyone, David Sims will be looking ahead to the Sheffield game with us. That also will be a little later. Joining me to discuss the weekend about to come up is Tina Taylor.
Hello.
Just the 2 of us tonight, so the others are strangely unavailable after quite a hectic week of live podcasts.
Well, yeah, Ask TCW just finished everybody else off.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to start, though, before we look ahead to the weekend games, with the announcement. We covered it a little bit on Ask TCW last night, but first we'll talk about the shirt off their back raffle, which Panthers are going to be doing from this Saturday. Something that's done at many other Elite League clubs, so you could say that Panthers are very much late to the party, but not unexpected after a change in shirt supplier from CH Sports to Warrior. So, Tina, I think universally everybody accepts this is a really good thing. Yeah,
about time. You know, we said it on the Ask TCW podcast last night, and it's a no-brainer, really. And it's like you say, the change in shirt sponsor facilitates, you know, that to happen, because, you know, I think it was widely known that the not problems as such getting the CH shirts, but the time delays in getting replacement CH shirts, I think were I think that was where the main problem was lying in terms of doing shirt off his back. Although I do recall that there was a shirt auction where an extra Jordan Fox jersey was going because Goody thought he'd lost one, and he sort of snuck one in under the radar, snuck a replacement in under the radar. So yeah, that was. But so it is possible, but I mean I don't know what the time delay was on that, but obviously the Panthers felt that that sort of acquisition time was unreasonable.
Of course, it's only £1 a ticket,
mm-hmm.
and a lot has been said on social media, on the forum, about auctions and the price of a shirt that you have to pay for at an auction. I think Panthers are going to do very well out of this, because I reckon they're going to sell at least 1,500 tickets every week.
Yeah,
that's essentially £1,500 per shirt.
Yeah,
it's very rare you see an auction shirt go for that amount of money.
Well, very rare. I mean, I saw it almost happen a few years ago. I think there was a Guy Lepine jersey that went for over £1,000, and I think we've seen an Eric Werner one that nearly touched £1,000. But you know, it doesn't. You know, you would like to think a guaranteed £1,500, as you say. That just doesn't happen. Nobody's got that kind of money, and if they have, then it's well, yeah, fine. You know, each to their own. Spend it on what you like, but I'm not sure £1,500 would really sit well with me buying a jersey. Yeah, it's it's £1 is, you know, it's standard. That's what the 50-50 raffle is, and I mean. It's fine, because, you know, everybody's got an equal chance of winning, just like the 50-50. I mean, I've never won the 50-50, so I have no confidence that I'll ever win a jersey, but it's not going to stop me buying a ticket.
What did you think to the announcement that actually the presentation won't be made on the ice, but whoever wins will be taken down to the locker room, they'll meet the player, get their jersey signed, and have it personally handed over there and then.
Oh, I didn't read that actually. I read that it was going to be presented at Ice Locker, not actually in the locker room, but anyhow, wherever it's going to be presented. I can sort of give a bit of a background perspective on this. You know, having been the anthem singer at the playoffs, I actually had to go out the fire exit at the back of like block 3 and then go down the stairs and go back in another fire exit to get to ice level, and that's exactly the way I had to go to come back, because the only other way to get to the penalty and announcers bench is to go past the away dressing room, and that's not really very practical either. So I think that's the word. It's practicality. I don't think the arena lends itself to an on-ice presentation of a jersey, of a player's jersey. And I think that's exactly why the Panthers already don't present the 50-50 prize, the 50-50 prize on the ice either, because it's just not practical to do it. And it's not a bad decision. I mean, I know it's a decision that might be a little bit unpopular because, you want to get on the ice and have your little 5 minutes of fame and such, but it's just not workable. It's just no good. The layout of the arena is no good. It doesn't support it.
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think you get a nice private meeting with the player, and you can have a chat and that sort of thing. So I think that's actually quite good. Okay, we're going to move on and look ahead to the weekend's games. On Saturday, Panthers take on the Cardiff Devils at the NIC with a 7 p.m. face-off. Earlier today, I got to chat with Sean Phillips from the Red Army Roundup podcast to look ahead to the game. First League and Challenge Cup match at the NIC on Saturday, and we take on the Cardiff Devils. And I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast from the Red Army Roundup podcast, it's our old friend Sean Phillips.
Hello, John. How are you, Pat?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Not so bad. Looking forward to getting to the away action properly.
Yeah, so you're heading down to Nottingham on Saturday then?
Yeah, I'll be heading up with Red Army Travel, as always. They have a pint waiting for me, if you would.
I'll see what I can do, mate. I'll see what I can do. Before we actually get onto the game, there's been quite a bit of controversy surrounding the Devils, which goes back to the game against Braehead on Sunday. Trevor Hendricks and Andrew Lord dropping the gloves, no handshakes, some allegations going around about Jay Rosehill. I mean, what's going on? Can you just fill us in on what's happening there?
Yeah, well, obviously Trevor Hendricks played for us last year in Cardiff. I'm led to believe that that he was told that he was not one of the first choice re-signings. And it's hockey, and guys don't always come back. But I think Hendricks felt he was going to be coming back, and Lord was obviously looking for an upgrade on him, and we found that in the mould of Mark Lewis. And Hendricks feels a little bit of grief because his girlfriend is from Cardiff. He made plans to stay here and all that sort of thing. So I think that Hendricks feels a little bit aggrieved. Lord, like I said, that's the game. Lord has got to look for the best option he can going forward, especially with the change in facility from last year to this year. And then there was obviously the controversial statements that, there was the interview with Andrew Lord with Icetime TV that Lord had to sort of put it out there that he didn't try and get Jay Rosehill's visa cancelled, which, Simsy's Periscope yesterday, Simsy knows who was responsible for trying to get that visa denied, and, it's not Andrew Lord. So, yeah, all a bit playground, really, from the clan in regards to Rosehill, Hendricks, and I think the Devils have handled it as best they could. Like I said, we've upgraded in the area on Hendricks, and ultimately to not, after the fight in the first minute, 43 seconds in, you'd think that, that small spat or the bit of grievance that Hendricks felt was over. He'd give him a bit of a pasting, and that's job done. And it's going to go back to, let's play by the game properly, boys, and follow the code of conduct. But obviously, in the post-game handshakes, Hendricks neglected to shake Andrew Lord's hand, and in the space of a 60-minute game, happened to almost obliterate all the reputation that he built up in Cardiff over the last 2 years.
Do you think this could overshadow the team as you go into Saturday's game, or do you think it's something that will just be brushed off?
No, I think it'll be brushed off. The only time I can ever see it sort of coming back on us is the next time that we play Braehead, which I don't believe is until mid-October up in their building. So I don't expect that to overshadow the team. Lord's pretty good at getting the guys to forget what happened last week and focus on the future. So yeah, I think we'll be fine going into Saturday's game with regards to that.
Looking ahead to Saturday then, and Cardiff, you've had a very good pre-season build-up with KHL opposition, but a bit of a mixed start to the Elite League season, a loss in Manchester followed by that excellent win over Braehead on Sunday. How do you see this one going, and what do you know of this Nottingham side?
Well, you mentioned that start in the Challenge Cup against Manchester. Obviously, a team playing out of a small ice surface in the same mould that we played in for the majority of last year and for the last 10 years. And
I bet it brought back memories going.
It was a strange sort of feeling going back into a building like that. But look, we built a team this year built for that big ice surface. And Manchester, in fairness, have built a sort of the Devils team of old, which has been built to win at home, and they played us down. We were looking at trying to play a finesse game in that facility, and it's not going to happen. You're going to play a gritty game, and Manchester brought us down to that level, and that's what happened ultimately. They played that gritty game better than we did. But with regards to Sunday, the turnaround was fantastic. We looked very much at home on a large ice surface against the Braehead clan, who've obviously been built in that same mould as well. Maybe they underperformed a little, but I think going into Saturday, we have built this team for that large ice surface, and Nottingham is going to be, less of a hindrance to us than it has been in previous years. We traditionally struggle in our first game at the NIC. It normally comes around this time of the year as well, the first league action, and we traditionally lose that game. But this year, with that large Olympic ice, taken away, that disadvantage taken away, I think we could look at taking at least a point, and I'd be happy with a point coming from Nottingham on any day of the week.
Who in the Devils lineup has impressed you so far?
I've been really impressed with all the new arrivals. David Bryan, the gone by Christmas contender, from Mr. David Sims, has been excellent. A perfect third, fourth line guy. Goes out there, doesn't turn the puck over. Finishes all his hits. Big guy, good on the puck. He's not going to score you, 30 goals a year, but he will do you a good third line job. Mark Lewis, as I mentioned, Trevor Hendricks' direct replacement, much better skater, will feel more at home on the Olympic ice there than Trevor Hendricks did. Lane Ulmer is a proven finisher, and his chemistry with Sean Bentivolio has been excellent. But for me, the best signing that we've made so far is a gentleman by the name of Patrick Asselin, which he didn't play last year. Took a year out to spend some time with his newborn daughter, and this year he's really proven why he played at that high level in Denmark and put up such good numbers. And every game we're starting to see him get better and better. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him on the large ice yet again, where he feels at home, and see how he thrives on the away atmosphere.
Anyone from Nottingham who you thought, I need to watch them, or Devils need to watch them, because obviously there's quite a few new imports in this Nottingham lineup for this season. So who catches your eye?
Well, who catches my eye is actually one of your imports from last year, and that's your netminder, Mika Wiekman, because whenever we played him, we really struggled to grind him down. And if Mika, I understand he's carrying a bit of a knock at the moment, but if he plays on Saturday, then I think it could be a battle of the netminders, and he's a guy who can backstop you to a league title. I have no doubt about that. So I think if we can put 3 on Wiekman, then we're going to have a good result coming out of Nottingham.
Well, Sean, I want to thank you very, very much for taking the time to come and talk to us, and I'll hopefully have that pint waiting for you on Saturday.
Great stuff. Good to speak to you. Cheers, Jono.
Sean Phillips there, many thanks to him for taking the time to talk to me earlier today. Interesting that he says there, Tina, about he doesn't think this whole Hendricks Lord thing will affect the team.
No, I don't think so. I mean, aside from the handshake business, I think it was sorted out fairly early on. The two guys sorted it out on the ice, and I think that's exactly where it should and where it will be left. So I think the Devils are just going to, they're going to prepare as they normally do. I mean, Sean says that, it's a slightly different team because they are playing on big ice now. So they're probably not going to find the adjustment coming across to our ice quite so much of a of a difference, as they have in previous years. So maybe that sort of means that we should fear them a little more.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because you have got some stats there, haven't you, from the past, 10 games you've got?
Yes, last 10 games at the NIC against the Devils. We are 6-3-1, and the one was a shootout loss back in November 2014. So there's not an awful lot in it, and that's from them, coming from the Big Blue Tent. So, obviously all these results are with them being used to the Big Blue Tent. I mean, the most recent one is obviously the Challenge Cup final. So I think they have put a team together that is suited to their rink. So I think we have more cause for concern now than we have over the past few years.
A lot of people have said that the Devils' defence looks like it's got a lot of goals in it, whereas others have said that our defence looks one of the best in the league. It almost is a immovable object meets another immovable object.
Yeah. It depends. I mean, the game at Coventry, the Challenge Cup game that I went down to, I think myself and Andy sort of said similar things, that the defence were leaving themselves a bit open. They're still figuring each other out, so you can kind of forgive them to a certain extent. But if they're going to come up against a defence that is looking like it can score goals and do the job that they're employed to do as well, then we've really got to be on our toes.
Interesting that Sean also mentioned Mika Wiekman being the player he probably most fears from us, and it could be a battle of the netminders. We've all seen the form that Wiekman has started the season, goal against average of just 1. He is looking very, very good in the early season. Ben Bounds doesn't tend to have great games at the NIC. We all saw the game that he had in the Challenge Cup final where he kept Cardiff in it for 70 minutes, where he was incredible.
Yes.
So I think this could come down to a battle of both netminds, and I think it's how they both play. And Bounds has been known to have the odd stinker at the NIC, so I suppose that's something that possibly the Panthers could hang on to a little bit.
Maybe. I think some of it, it comes down to that defence, really, and what they allow to be put on Ben Bounds in the first place. We know that he can have a good game. We know that he can, we can get inside his head a little bit. It's a good battle. It's a good battle. I'm really sad I'm not going to be there. But yeah,
Where are you?
Oh, I'm at a wedding.
Why are you at a wedding in the hockey season?
Oh, because I know people who aren't hockey fans. Shock horror. I know, it's terrible.
How dare they?
I know, how dare they? I didn't.
They?
Yeah, it's been mentioned. Yeah. It's been mentioned. But yes, I think Sean's got. He's made a good shout there. He has made a good shout. I think the netminders are going to be the top of the key points to the game.
Should be a great game. NIC 7 p.m. on Saturday night. Tickets are available, but they are selling fast, so I think there's a good chance of a very, very big crowd there on Saturday night. On Sunday, Panthers take on the Sheffield Steelers in the first game at the Sheffield Arena of this season, a Challenge Cup game. Steelers, of course, fresh off a win in the CHL against Salzburg, a 5-2 victory that was also last Sunday. Earlier today, I also spoke to someone who's not a stranger to any of us. Mr. David Stims took the time to have a word with us, and here's what he had to say. The first Steelers-Panthers clash of the season takes place on Sunday, and who else to talk about it but Mr. Dave Sims?
Jono, how are you? Are you excited? Sleepless nights yet?
Not quite. It's only a Challenge Cup game. It's not the league.
That's true, and Manchester are in our group as well, aren't they? So we haven't got to worry till the quarter-final stage.
And I'm sure you've been having some sleepless nights, because it'd be churlish not to mention the fantastic result that the Steelers had on Sunday. You still got over that yet?
Well, I think it was just such a great night. You were there, you witnessed it, and it's something we've worked for 2 years, and we've played some incredible hockey teams for Lunda, Jyväskylä, and then this year H371 and Salzburg. And I think if you look at the 8 games that we've played, we've had we had one disappointing period last year, which was in Frölunda when they put about 6 past us. And then we had a disappointing night in Salzburg, travel horrendous, and never again. If we're lucky enough to qualify, never again will we do that 2 in 3 with all the travel and everything. And we got well and truly thumped over there in Austria. Could have been 12, if the truth be known. And I think everybody felt a bit disappointed. But you know what? 4 bad periods in 7 games going into that. Everybody was excited. They wanted to just put the record straight. And you know what? When your mother have won a game and when Bray have won a game, you want to win a game and you want to be up there. And we feel that we have taken that competition really seriously for 2 years. Brought players in early, tried to do it the right way. Been well received by the CHL, and now to get the 2 points, if you like, was the final tick in the book. And now, of course, we start the 30-week audition for the pass for next year.
And so I noticed some comments on social media afterwards that said, "Oh well, there was nothing to play for; it was a dead rubber." But that's not really fair, is it? Because their budget is still several times that of the Steelers. And you were, from my opinion, from watching the game, the better team on the night.
I was going to say, let's take the the one-eyed view off it. You were there. Did Red Bull Salzburg try and win that game?
Yes,
absolutely. I saw the comment that they put their backup in at 30 minutes. They didn't put the backup in at 30 minutes. They put last year's number 1 goalie in at 30 minutes. They put the goalie that beat HB 71 2 days before in at 30 minutes. They didn't put Dan Green in, Brad Day in. They didn't do that. They put a numero uno, number 1 netminder in the Austrian Elite League in goal. They pulled the goalie. They were frantically trying to get back in the latter stages. I was almost happy we never scored into the empty net, because then people would go, well, a bit like Braid, empty net. But, we won it, and we won it, and we won it well, and we're happy about that. And now we re-engage Brain, and we focus, as I just said, on the 30-week audition for the next shot of it, because we want another go. Because once you've been in it once, you want to be in it again. It is the place to be.
Absolutely. So looking ahead to Sunday, it's the first meeting of the season. Again, we play each other what seems like probably I think 12 times a season.
Not enough times, Jono. Not enough times.
Well, you see, I've seen comments with people saying, it dilutes the rivalry a bit because we play each other so much time. Is that something you agree with, or do you?
No, not at all. I mean, if you only played each other twice, of course you'd be like, oh my God, yes, it's coming. It's only twice a year. But no, I think we play each other. We play each other 4 times in the league, 5 times. We'll probably play each other 6, 12 times this year over 30 weeks. So once every 3 or 4 weeks we get a game against each other. I don't think that's overkill in our rivalry. Not at all. Not at all. Well, let's see what happens next year when we probably won't play each other as much, when conferencing disappears, and we'll probably end up playing each other 1 fewer time home and away. Let's see what happens then. But no, for me, it's still the biggest right. It's head and shoulders. Anybody, Cardiff and Coventry can mock all they like, and Braid and Fife can mock all they like. There'll be 6,000 people plus in our building. There'll be 7,000, I'm sure, in yours. Even if there's only 5, there'll be 7,000 on the sheet. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, these games are what kept the Elite League going for a few years in terms of revenue, in terms of notoriety, and they are still head and shoulders above any other fixture that's played on our calendar. And they would be if we played each other 26 times a year.
Okay. Have you had a chance to see Nottingham yet this season?
I haven't, no.
No,
not at all. I mean, when I say I haven't, I've seen the highlights of different games. I thoroughly enjoyed the highlights in Coventry. But no, I haven't seen them in the flesh yet, no.
Okay. The Panthers, as you famously said, starting a week later than what the Steelers did. How much do you think that will be a difference? Because obviously you've played the CHL games, you've played a much higher quality of opposition. Panthers obviously had the tournament in Amiens and played quite a few pre-season games before getting into the Challenge Cup. So do you think the team's going to this equal, or do you think that the Steelers have had a better preparation?
No, I think equal, Jono. I think if we'd have faced it 2 weeks ago, that 1 week difference might have made a bit of a difference. But now after the amount of hockey both clubs have played, it's not like you're going in like in the old, like for example, if we were playing Edinburgh last week, you'd say, wow, that's an advantage. They got together on Tuesday and you've been together for 4 weeks. Sheffield and Nottingham are both professional organisations, well run, well coached, good fitness, and that 1 week difference won't make a great deal of difference at all.
Okay. Few new players.
You did get to play. You did get to play in the Aladdin Cup, I remember. So that's an advantage.
Well, of course, you wouldn't miss that one.
Slow enough to qualify for that.
Few new players for the Steelers this season. So who should we keep an eye on?
Well, we're trying a different approach this year. We've gone with a goaltender. And so Mushnikov's he's in the pipes this year. We struggled massively, didn't we, last year? We goaltended. Plant was a disaster from the second we shook his hand. And Marek Pink was absolutely one of the best guys you'll ever meet in your life. And nobody in Sheffield who knew Marek will have one bad word to say about him. Hero, hero, hero. He came in for 3 weeks. He'd retired pretty much. And we said, look, we just need a bit of cover for a couple of weeks. And then a couple of weeks turned into a month turned into 2, and the poor lad ended up being here all year. And it was an unfortunate position that, if you like, we put him in. But what a competitor, what a guy. He had a few rough nights. He had a few great nights. That last night against Nottingham in your barn, sublime that night. We had no rights to win that game. He won us that game. But this year, I think the arrival of Mushnikov, the return, if you like, of Moose is a big one for us. It's a nice bit of concrete to build your foundations off at the back. Early signs, Bjorklund looks great for us. And up front, Big John Armstrong's fitted in well. Schultz got his 3 the other night after a bit of a slow start. I think the speed that Nielsen brings us as well. I think we're happy with everybody right now. But most coaches are. I think if you interviewed Corey right now, or Ryan, or Danny Stewart, they're all happy. It's middle of September. It's normally about the end of October before you start to hate half of them.
Anyone from Nottingham who stands out and you think they could cause us a bit of trouble?
Wait and see. Looking forward to seeing McGrattan.
Yeah, I think we all are for that.
Looking forward to seeing him. We almost signed him a few years ago. We went after him in the NHL lockout. Didn't get him. And we ended up with, if you remember, Tom Sestito.
Yeah.
So we ended up with him. But I'd forgotten all about that. But actually, Ryan Finson reminded me a few days ago that he was the guy that we went after. And our sources, as you know, we've got pretty good sources in the American League, Jono. And they tell us that as tough a man as you will find and can play. And I think that will probably set him aside from perhaps the chap down in Cardiff.
Borderline.
Killer tough. Yeah, it was obviously killer tough. Certainly sets him aside from the guy in Manchester. Oh, again, killer tough. But I think your toughness has to play. He hasn't got to be your best player, but a little bit like Janssen. Janssen could play a bit. He fulfilled a role as well as being a super tough individual. And I think this guy that Nottingham have signed now in McGrattan is obviously a killer tough guy. But the days of tapping a guy on the shoulder are long gone. Coaches are frightened of doing that. Now, with everything that happens with concussions and so forth, you don't send anybody out to fight anymore. Those days are long gone, despite what some muppet on a laptop will be typing. Coaches don't send, Corey Nielsen will not tap McGrattan once and say, hey, go and sort so-and-so out. These guys know when to do it, and it'll be only when they feel it's right to do it. And it's natural in their inbred DNA. But I'm looking forward to seeing it because I think he'll be a big character, big signing for the league, and a great signing. You've fallen lucky again, haven't you? That's not the first time this has happened to Nottingham, where you lose a guy and then all of a sudden you fall lucky on his replacement.
Well, of course, it happened with Janssen last season.
Well, yeah, so many people retire in Nottingham, of course, don't they? Don't know what you do to them there, but they seem to come to their last home. Hey, he's going to be one of the big characters of the league. Our league is a better league for having him into it, so credit Corey for bringing him in.
Okay. So, tickets still available, I imagine?
I'm sure there are, because ours is a 9,000-seat arena, so a couple of thousand more than most buildings. So there'll be a few seats available, I'm sure. It'll be a good night, though, won't it? Everybody wants to win the first one. Well, everybody wants to win all of them, of course, but that first one, because you'll be feeling us out, we'll be feeling you out. We all want bragging rights. He could, playoffs, league, cup, Aladdin Cup, it doesn't matter. When Sheffield and Nottingham play, there's something there that you want to be the victorious one. You want to beat them. You want to beat us. We want to beat you. There's no difference. We probably say it a little bit louder than you lot say it, but, knowing the people inside your camp, as I do, they all feel exactly the same as our guys do.
Well, I did want you to win last Sunday. I can't see me feeling like that for the rest of this season. But thank you very much, Dave, for your time.
How is your Steelers wife and your Steelers daughter, Jono?
The Steelers wife is fine. It was her birthday yesterday. I'm not so sure on the Steelers daughter. She seems a lot less interested. We'll ask her when she's older.
You know the future's Owens, Jono.
No, not in this house. It's not. David, thanks ever so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
David Sims there, as on top form as ever. If you want to get in touch with us while we're live on the show, you can do at Cats Whiskers TV. Use the hashtag TCW Live. Elliot Stanley has got in touch with us on Twitter with regards to that interview. He says, "Is Sims serious that we don't play each other enough? 12 times is way too many. Even I'm getting bored of it, and I hate them lot." And if you've got any comments, at Cats Whiskers TV, hashtag TCW Live. I personally think 12 is too many, but but there is a little snippet that may answer that. Well, we was talking about that I think I missed until I was actually listening back to the interview and editing it earlier, and I'm just going to play it again, and I want to see if anybody else picked up on it.
Well, let's see what happens next year when we probably won't play each other as much when conferencing disappears, and we'll probably end up playing each other one fewer time home and away.
So, did you hear that? When conferencing disappears, is that an exclusive? Do you think?
Well, I don't know if it's an exclusive or not, but I do know that there's certain purple sections of the Elite League fan base that will be jumping up and down for joy. I think they are past ready for the conference to go, quite frankly. I think. As I was saying to you before we started recording, Jono, I think for me personally, with the announcement that Milton Keynes are coming into the league next season, and with no announcement to follow that anybody else is going to join them, I personally had just come to the assumption that the conferences were going to be done away with. So yeah, I missed the comment from Simsy about the conferences as well. It just sort of washed over me because, as I say, I in my own head I just assumed that they were going to be done away with, because I think sorting out the point structure for a 6 conference and a 5 conference is just going to be. I think it's just going to be too much hassle.
It will make your head explode, I think, if you think about it too long.
I mean, I love work, I love numbers, I love stats, but I wouldn't want to touch that.
Moving on to what Simsy actually said, and they're coming off a great win in the Champions Hockey League. The momentum is all with them. Jesse Schultz, one of their new players, got a great hat trick in that game. They're never easy games anyway, but in particular, they are going to be full of confidence after that.
I would have thought so, yeah. Just look at what it did for our team when we beat Hamburg. You know, you could just feel just a sense of optimism around the team. I mean, obviously the season wasn't all that great, but it was. It did a lot for the morale, I think, of the team and possibly the fan base as well. It was a nice little buzz to have. We beat a DEL team. It's great. I think they will be coming into the league now with a fresh bit of optimism behind them. It just depends if they can adjust back to the Elite League, because I don't think they'll be playing the same kind of game as they were in the CHL.
Of course, both teams have tough games on Saturday. Panthers, that we've already talked about, will play the Cardiff Devils. Steelers travelling into the Coventry Blaze. So, there's a chance, possibility of injuries, certainly fatigue, maybe even suspensions, depending how the games go.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've had 2 fully clean weeks. Where Dops have thanked everybody for their clean weeks, basically. It's just so I think we've not really talked about any suspensions yet, and I don't know if maybe this will be the weekend, because there is obviously our healthy little rivalry with the Steelers, but the Steelers have actually got quite a healthy rivalry with the Blaze as well. I mean obviously we have, by virtue of the fact that we always go to thumping at the Sky Dome, but Yeah, there are tough games to be had for both teams before we get to the business of playing each other for the first time this season. And there's always a big anticipation about the first game, and I would possibly agree with Elliot Stanley in a sense, in that. But when you get to the end of the season and you've seen certain teams over and over and over again, you just. You kind of, you do get a little bit, it's another game against them, right? Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's hockey, don't get me wrong. When you get to the business end of the season, hopefully it's all exciting because, everybody wants to be in there challenging. But, when you are playing the same teams all the time, it can get a little bit monotonous. So if the conferences are to go and we're going to have a league structure, there's going to be a bit more parity in who we're playing. And I think... after having a few seasons of the conference where we've had such a concentrated, group of play with the same four other teams, I think it will make a nice change personally.
And of course, we've seen through the conferences that there is quite a parity within the league now. We've discussed this on the past two podcasts that any team genuinely can beat any other team on any given night. There is no nights off anymore. There's no easy games, and that has been a good thing. I think. Well, yeah, it's certainly been a good thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, we keep using them as the whipping boys excuse, but when you get to back end of an Edinburgh Capital season, you're going up there and they're down in form, down in players, and it's just not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable when you feel sorry for the team that you're beating. You want to go up there, wanting to give them a good thumping because they're good, not because they're not.
One final point on Sunday's game, and it doesn't look like Brian McGrattan is going to be here for the weekend. It would have been nice to travel up to the Sheffield Arena with him in tow. I think Simsy was very, very incredibly complimentary of his signing there.
Yes. Well, I mean, as he said, they made inquiries for him during the lockout and ended up with Tom Sestito instead. But yeah, I mean, we're getting good reports all over the place from McGrattan, so we're all quite anxious to get him over here to see him play. I think from various interviews I've heard and seen, I think he is very anxious to get over here. He's looking forward to expanding his game, which he'll be able to. Well, there was one of the first interviews I think that I listened that sort of got tweeted out to the wider audience from a sports network in America. They did sort of say, well, you are going to go over there and do a job, though, aren't you? He said, oh yeah, I'm going to get them fired up, which is good to hear. I mean, one of the other things he did say, he's looking forward to playing, to getting the points up and having a new experience over in Europe. And he's bless him though, he needs to work on his pronunciation because he said he wants to go and see Leicester City play.
Oh, I don't know. They win one Premier League and everybody jumps on the bag.
Everybody wants them.
Yeah, they've been listening to too much Andy Haywood, that's all right. Of course, so 5 o'clock face-off on Sunday, at the Sheffield Arena. Tickets still available, and I believe there will be a webcast available.
There is a webcast available because I have bought it.
All right, so there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth here. Not that I'm calling you a horse, of course.
Wow.
And I think we will leave it there for tonight. Many, many thanks to everyone who has listened and interacted with us throughout this week. We will be going live 3 times a week from now on, all being well. You've listened to us in fantastic numbers, and it's been great. It's really given us confidence that we can carry this off and carry on doing it, and I hope you all continue to listen. So thank you very, very much. We will be back again on Monday with our weekend review. We'll be looking back at the games against Cardiff and Sheffield, hopefully with a couple of interviews from Sheffield as well. We did have two other podcasts this week. So the STCW podcast was last night and the weekend review on Monday. You can find those on our website, www.thecatswhiskersonline.co.uk, and just click on the podcast link and that will take you to all our previous podcasts over the past 2 or 3 years. Is it 3 years? 3 years that we've been doing it now.
Speak for yourself. I'm still a rookie. Technically speaking, I can still class myself a rookie.
One more interaction comes from Jonathan Fernley, friend of the show. I guess all the people who don't like seeing the same team all the time are opposed to a best of playoff series too. I think that's different.
Opposed? No, absolutely not.
No, I think that's different.
I'd be totally for a proper playoff series.
So I think there's a difference with playing each other too many times in the regular season and then an actual intense playoff series. I know you were trying to sign off, but just sort of on that point. I mean, I'm an NHL fan as well, so I really enjoy playoffs. Playoffs is the most exciting part of the NHL season, and the rest of it is just jostling for position, for a playoff position. That's pretty much what the season leads up to. So I would love to get that sort of feeling in the Elite League. I know playoff weekend is special, it's ours and it's the way we do things, but I would just love to have that level of excitement over in the Elite League. Yeah, I totally agree. I think with arenas it's probably going to be quite difficult, but let's hope something can be worked around and something can be put in place. Okay, that really is it. So our website, www.thecatswhiskersonline.co.uk, Twitter @catswhiskerstv, email tcwonlinetv@gmail.com, and we've got a thread on the Cage Forum and also our own TCW Facebook page as well, where you can find links to the podcast and any articles that appear on the website. So thank you very much for listening tonight and also over the past week. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, which means you will get all the podcasts after they finish recording, and
whether you like it or not. And also each podcast, once we finish recording live, will be on YouTube as well automatically. So thanks very much. We will see you next week and enjoy the games you're going to, if you are going to them this weekend. But until then, thank you to Tina. Thank you very much, TTFN.
And we will speak to you next week. Bye bye.